All right, so tonight what we're going to be talking about are words, equations, tables, and graphs. Now this section is kind of a little all over the place with things that it's doing. It's kind of an introductory to a lot of things we're going to be looking at. But something you need to know is that relations, like we talked about yesterday, can be described as words, equations, tables, and graphs. It could be anything we want to do. For example, I could say in words, the distance biked is equal to 12 miles per hour. Oh, gotta spell that right. Times the number of hours, and forgive the abbreviation there. So that would be in words. As an equation, this would be the distance is 12 times t. As a table, I can make a hours versus distance table, and after 1 hour, I've gone 12 miles. After 2 hours, I've gone 24. After 3 hours, I've gone 36, and so on and so on. And I could do it as a graph. 1, 2, 3, and then here as long as I'm being consistent, I can do my graph as so. So after 1 hour, it's 12, 2, it's 24, 3 is 36, and I could graph it that way where this is hours and this is miles and so on. So those are the 4 ways I could do this. Now, in elementary school, one of the things we always talk about is that you learned about something called a function machine. And maybe this will remind you, I don't know if you've ever seen something like this. It's a function machine, and you could drop a number into the function machine, and it would spit out another number based upon the function. So, for example, I could say this is like 3x. And if I drop the number 1 into the function machine, what would come out is 3. If I drop the number 10 into the function machine, what would come out is 30. Or I could do this as 3x minus 2. And so then if I dropped in the number 1, what would come out is 1. So what this is called is this is known as the rule. And that's kind of like the equation that I'm using, but it's mostly the rule that we are going to be doing. Sometimes the rule is given, like so. Sometimes the rule is not given and you're asked to find the rule. For example, I give you a table. Here's an XY table. 1, 1, 2, 3, 3, 5, 4, 7. And I say to you, what's my rule? And you can look into patterns and try to figure out what pattern you could find to figure out what the rule would be for this. What could I do to the x? Because the x is basically the domain. It's the domain. It's what we drop into the machine. And the range is what comes out of our machine using the rule. And in this case, if you thought about it right and you looked at it carefully enough, you'd find out that the rule is 2x minus 1. So that will give me y. So whatever I put in for x will give me the y. So let's look at a simple example here. And And the rule kind of is this. Bob spent 5 more than 3 times what Anna spent. Now, I'm going to tell you that Anna, which is my X, Anna spent $2 and $4 and $6 and $8. I want you to figure out the Y, or what Bob spent. So pause the video and see if you can figure out what did Bob spend. Well, if you did it right, it's 5 more than 3 times what Anna spent. So my rule technically is going to be that Bob is going to be 3 times what Anna spent. 3 times plus 5. So if we do that, we go 3 times 2 plus 5. And that'll give me 11. And here it's going to be 3 times 4 plus 5, and that's going to give me 17. 3 times 6 plus 5, I'll get 23. And finally, 3 times 8 plus 5, and that'll give me 29. Now, for fun, what's the domain? Yep, 2, 4, 6, 8. And the range? No, I told you it's where the deer and the antelope play. No, you're right. It was 11, 17, 23, and 29. So I'm not actually going to give you a problem to try tonight because we will work on some of those tomorrow and look at some other types of problems that you can do. But what I do want to let you know is this is the last section in Chapter 1, which means that next we're going to review, and then after 1 day of review, and then we are going to take our test. Please make sure you ask me tomorrow in class when your test is, because it really is 2 days away from now. So we're going to talk about that and ask me about your test, and I'll tell you how that's going to work also in class. Have a good evening, and I'll see you in class.